So here is the video.
Welcome to the University of Moratuwa. With its inventiveness and enterprising approach, superior standards in research and development, and high employability of its degree holders, it is no surprise that this is the best choice for higher education in Sri Lanka in its very own specialized disciplines. The UOM, as we call it, boasts a unique set of courses, unparalleled learning experience, a superior intake, and unmatched standards. Its degrees are recognized worldwide and competition to enter high, making it one of the most sought-after universities in South Asia. Students are encouraged to aspire to be job creators instead of job seekers. Our research and consultancy arms continue to serve the nation. Their expertise, developments and solutions have been used in various fields and formats across Sri Lanka. Aside from the degree programs here at UOM, there is a wealth of extracurricular activities that build character, discipline and resilience. They have also won numerous awards and accolades both home and abroad. And our unshakable sports program has placed us at the top of the rankings in the country.
With over 3,500 undergraduate and postgraduate students, 300 academic staff, 12 academic departments, the Faculty of Engineering is the largest faculty of University of Moratuwa. Over 80% of their teaching staff holds PhDs and its students comprise of those with the very best performance in the A-level mathematics stream. The faculty offers the Bachelor of the Science of Engineering degree in 10 disciplines. Along with very high employability, its top students also have a high acceptance rate into prestigious postgraduate programs in globally renowned universities.
The University of Moratuwa traces its roots to over a century ago. Originally established as a technical school in Maradana in 1893, what was to become the University of Moratuwa took residence at in 1959. It took on several
The Faculty of Architecture at Moratuwa is unique. It is the only faculty. Teaching methods prominence to the practice learning and it contrasts from a didactic-based system. Main practice with the development of entrepreneurial skills. Information technology takes pride.
The Faculty of IT is the synthesis of different thinking.
I'm here at Moratuwa University.
Has extended borders, libraries worldwide. It disperses information to the entire technology community in Sri Lanka.
Our latest addition is the Faculty of Graduate Studies.
Providing valuable administrative services in streamlining the UOM's postgraduate program, the faculty works towards facilitating research and attracting more international collaborations.
Aside from our rigorous academic programs, University of Moratuwa has one of the finest sports programs in the island.
We have regular programs for 18 sports, with some of our teams becoming national champions. The Physical Education Division caters to competitive as well as recreational sports and physical activity at University of Moratuwa. We also have our teams represent the university in tournaments abroad and our players who represent Sri Lanka internationally.
So much more innovative enterprising initiatives happen here, from the building of new machine components to the solving of existing problems. Through its research units, centers of excellence and consultancy services, the university's base of knowledge goes beyond its academic corridors. Several industry-sponsored research labs also operate within the university, where the industry personnel work closely with the University of Moratuwa on new innovations and products. The university also gives expert advice to the government and private sector on issues in their chosen fields.
The University of Moratuwa has over 25 clubs and societies run by its students. These include a diverse range from religious and cultural societies, academic clubs, to common interest societies. As the University of Moratuwa looks to the future, we hope to continue being on the cutting edge as one of the finest universities in South Asia.
The University of Moratuwa hopes to push its boundaries further, achieving more excellence in research, innovation, and enterprise, both locally and internationally.
Our expert advice, technology transfer, and consultancy services will also see more development, taking industry advancement and leadership development further.
We also believe more than anything else in nurturing great global citizens as we take University of Moratuwa to even greater heights.
As the University of Moratuwa goes deeper into the 21st century, we will push the boundaries of our knowledge further and enhance the economic and technical well-being of our industry and nation even more.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was a little bit about the University of Moratuwa. For this conference, we have IIT Bombay, India. But before, let me give you a brief introduction about Professor Gihan. Professor Dias graduated from the University of Moratuwa in 1985. He was awarded a doctorate in electrical engineering and computer science from the University of California, Davis in 1992. In addition to being a professor in computer science and engineering and director, international relations at the University of Moratuwa, Sri Lanka, he serves as the domain registrar of the Lankan Domain Registry and as a trustee of the Internet Society. He was inducted to the Internet Hall of Fame in 2013. He has been active in several areas of computing, including computer networking, language technologies, e-learning, security, distributed event processing, internet identity, and personal cloud. Professor Dias was a pioneer in developing the field of local language in development of the
it worked earlier, so this is put to the correct input. Any output to get a detect. Okay, so sorry about that. Good afternoon, and thank you. So I'm going to, sorry, give me a second. Hello, fonts is would be very similar. Like this, the first question is to figure out. Right. So how many letters are actually there? Might be we have Sinhala or Tamil. People know the English alphabet, and I don't know how to type in Sinhala. And letters are separated; they are not joined or anything else. Indic or Indian language special things. In the alphabet. Then we have a long. These have the first one be ng, half a letter and then another letter. So if we have those, of course we have the unused letter on school books. Name like Jnana Ratna. Cheap. But just before that, in the 1980s, if you want to do, they were not general combo, but there are 3 separate vowels. They are not one letter with some modifiers added in. Similarly, some of these others also look as if they have 2 or 3 pieces, but they are just individual vowels. Then we have the sanyakas, which I talked about before, which are normal letters. So g, the first one is a g with a thing in front, which becomes ng. J with a thing in front becomes nj, right? And similarly. So these are again, but they are separate letters. These are not compound letters. You could even consider them compound letters, but historically we have considered them as completely separate letters. Then we have the last 3. Many people think they are compound letters because they look as if 2 letters have been joined together. Right? If you know Sinhala, the first one looks like k and dh joined together, but it's not. It's a Mahaprana j, right? Why it looks like that, I have no idea. And the other 2 are the 2 nyas, which look as if it has got 3 pieces joined together. So the origin is that, right? The origin is, yes, there's some joining somewhere or the other, but right now they are single. Well, the last one, some people will argue it's 2, but anyway. Then we have another issue. Similar looking letters. There are pairs of letters, or sometimes even more than 2, which look very similar. For example, if you take the first 2, right, in what I have given, th and n, I'm sure that from where you are sitting, you really can't see a big difference. It's a small thing on top, in front, on the left hand side. In the th, which is the first letter, it goes down. In n, which is the second letter, it goes up. But if you are looking from fairly far, or you have a very small screen, you are not going to really see the difference. Similarly, the next 2, h and bh, then b and k, and these 2, v and m, actually in this particular font they look quite different, but you could draw it in such a way that they look quite similar. And the last 2, again, you might think they are exactly the same. No, first one is sru, which is not really used in any word, but we can write it. And the other one is ru, which is the vocalic R. Only a very tiny little difference between the 2. Now, one issue is that a font designer should have some way to design a font that these minor differences are clearly presented to the user. Sometimes it does not matter. Sometimes from context, when you know what the word is, you keep reading. But when you are reading, especially we have this problem when we are reading Pali, which most of us are not familiar with, in the sense we don't know the words, but we sometimes sort of read them out. we don't know which one it is. So we sometimes read out the wrong one. Then we read it out as one letter, but actually it's a different letter. Then, just like other Indic languages, we have letter modifiers. So vowel signs will modify a consonant, and they can be on any of the 4 sides, and sometimes more than one side, sometimes on both sides, left and right, top, bottom, and maybe sometimes even several of them. You can think of at least 3 modifiers, or sometimes probably even 4 on the same letter. Right, and the upper and lower modifiers can change shape and position based on the length and shape of the base letter. So if you take the first 2, pu and nu, even this font doesn't really do it very nicely. The per, which is the first letter, is quite narrow, and n is actually the widest, or the second widest letter in the Sinhala alphabet. So the papilla, the lower modifier, should match the length of the letter. Actually, in the second one, it doesn't quite match in this font, but in other fonts, that could be lengthened. So that has to vary, the lower modifier has to vary in length to match the size of the letter. Then the upper modifier, if you take 3 things, there are 3 upper modifiers. They are in different places and at different angles, right? When you are writing by hand, you sort of automatically write it like that. But when you are designing a font, they have to be properly angled and positioned. Then the hal lacuna, or the halant, there's 2 forms depending on the shape of the letter, and bottom papilla being stuck on the bottom without removing it, which of course looks extremely ugly. Right, so these are some things which you need to do. These are not the only things I'm just giving you, and I would believe that the same issues are there in many Indic languages. In fact, I know, right? They are maybe slightly different, but the same type of issues. So even if you are looking at designing a font or a typeface for any other languages, I'm pretty sure you will have pretty much the same issues. Then ascending and descending letters. Some letters are tall, and if you put a upper modifier on top of that, it sort of keeps going up higher and higher. So in this particular font, what they've done is they've brought this letter, the top of the letter down. If you look at ver, which is the normal version, the top part goes to a certain one. When you put the ispilla, or the e sound on top, what we've done is brought the letter, pushed the top of the letter down to make room for the thing on top. Similarly, l, which goes down quite a bit, which is the last example, when you make a lu, in order to, otherwise it will go down, and you will have not room for the next line, and you'll have to do line spacing and all sorts of things. We brought the bottom of the letter up to make space for the u. And this is not the only way you could do it. I'm just saying these are issues you need to figure out. What are you going to do? Right. So these are issues which even old legacy font designers had to deal with. But then in around the 2000 or so, we started moving into Unicode. Now Unicode is an interesting thing. It stores characters in a standard way. It says, I don't care about fonts. I say how letters are stored. And you can display them in any font. Unlike the previous case where if a particular document was written in a particular font, you had better use the same font, otherwise it won't show properly. So it doesn't take into account letter shapes or modifier positions. And in addition to the font shapes, Unicode needs font rules. So each font has a set of rules, which is those font rules, the font some either device or some website which doesn't actually properly support it, it will look really ugly, right? All the letters have moved here and there. When the font rules are not, the font rules are probably there, but the OS or the support for font rules or the font driver is somehow not there. So this is difficult for traditional font designers, because traditional font designers are trained to draw beautiful pictures, right? Make it look nice, not sit and write code. So that's a job for programmers. Right? So if you are designing Unicode font, basically you need either a person who can both be a good designer as well as knows programming, or you need two people. A font designer who knows how to design beautiful fonts, and a programmer who knows how to write proper code. Right, so what about Sinhala in Unicode? Each vowel is one Unicode character. So even the vowels I showed you earlier, a, and so on, which look like if they are two characters, they are one Unicode character. Because they are one letter, there is no question about it. It's in the alphabet. Each consonant, right, all the 41 or whatever consonants, is one character. Each vowel sign is one character. Even if, when you actually I didn't have example of that, but I think you are all familiar because it's there in almost any Indic language. Some vowel signs are two-part. There is some part in the front and some part at the back of the letter, left and right of the letter. But it's one character in Unicode, never two characters. Code sequence. U, her and bh, which look very similar, use whatever font it like. This website, please download. Now, of in Unicode. After the consonant, which is actually the way Unicode stores it. So some people, especially Microsoft, decided that okay, this is how they are going to do it for all Indic languages, and they are not going to change, and they are not going to come up with a different keyboard driver. And even right now, that's
this here Muthu. I just want to add one point to.
So this is Muthu who really helped us to Sinhala fonts in.
Yeah, I just want to add a point to the discussion just now about inputs. I've written input methods for.
There is no particular reason to specify one particular keyboard, but I do still not happy with these people who use like this Google thing type of thing where that's fine, okay for language like Chinese where
non-Sinhala fonts. And to come up on stage.
Even including myself, and that's hard for me to follow it. So what is the method normally when we are playing Tai Chi? When we are playing Tai Chi, when I forgot or sometime when I forgot it, I type YouTube, and then I type YouTube, and then to follow which step actually I really forgot it. And for Tai Chi documentation and analysis and learning and even more. This is our hope. And we hope in the result, this series of research projects will hopefully make the sport of Tai Chi exercise more accessible to the interested parties in order to develop a useful and easy to memorize using a visual structure for elderly people, including new learner, like for the kid, maybe, because normally there's no kid learn, because 85 steps to play for more than 20 or. And then we try to categorize the whole step. We are using different kinds of color, and then we are also using different kinds of pattern to allow the audience know, okay, this is about the food, this is about repeated aim, learning the step, rather than memorize every step one by one. Demonstration for you all. So this is the final evaluation. Is the combination of our characters and matrix layout successfully, and we hope to be successfully construct a new reading experience that the audience to really practicing it. So
interaction between the originator of the organization and the customer. So trust can be established through content, graphic presentation, as well as material quality in a predictable way to create a pattern. So talking about visual parity.
Session, and I'll try to make my presentation as interesting and as informative as possible. I would like to introduce myself as an architect, an academician, and an author. I'm not a type designer. Having said that, my interest in typography lies at the combination where architecture ends and typography starts, or rather in the overlap of the two. A lot of information that I'm going to be saying, the factual information, will probably take just as a 2D planar element and becomes a 3D. What is left of the negative spaces of E, B, and all of that becomes the building designed by Abin Design Studio in California. Noticing in my slides, the one on the right-hand side, what you see on your left-hand side is I am Amsterdam. So what you're seeing here again as what we call as local reactions is actually a global offshoot. So sort of summarizing what I'm trying to do in the building itself. Now what you see here is a building in Turkey where they're trying to use Braille fonts as a skin condition. This is actually a hospital in California which is using font, is taken the verse of the poem and converted it into have my own apps, and if I can formulate.
I hope I pronounced it right. Ketam. Thank you very much.